Hey guys, welcome back to our Reignite small group curriculum. And in this lesson, we're going to continue looking at 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the implications of how love truly reignites and refuels both our faith towards God and our friendships. And so let's look just at this verse in verse 4. Paul says, love is kind. Now, that's a pretty short statement, but pretty powerful. So what do we mean by that? Well, we define love. Kindness is actually love in action. When I'm kind, it's actually when I'm actualizing, I'm catalyzing my love. I'm actually demonstrating in a way that makes a difference. Now, Jesus gave one of the greatest stories of love in action or demonstrating kindness in his parable of the Good Samaritan. I'm sure you've probably heard this before. He talks about three different men that stumble across a crime scene, and their three different responses, which really mirrors the way we often respond. The first is we often, when we come across someone who is in need, in pain, and having problems, the first one I call calloused. We can have a callous response. That's where we kind of, keep a distance away from the pain. In Luke 10:30 and 31, it says, there once was a man who was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho. When the robbers attacked him, they stripped him, they beat him up and left him half dead. Now it so happened that a priest was going down that road, but when he saw the man, he walked by on the other side. I call this the lifestyle of avoidance, man. We just don't want to get too close to something that might involve us. And so the first response is just that callous response. And internally, we tell ourselves, hey, what I didn't see won't affect me. And so I'm just going to keep a distance and I'm going to pretend I have no idea. So he sees it from a distance, but then he keeps a distance. That's one response. Here's the second response. Curious, but uninvolved. He's curious, but not curious enough to get engaged with it. Look at verse 32. In the same way, a Levite also came along. He went over, he looks down at the man, and then he walks by on the other side. I think that describes a lot of us in traffic. You ever, come across this horrific accident, and all of a sudden we all slow down, we look down, but we don't actually become involved in what's happening. We're like, I wonder if there's a dead body out there. Yeah, this morbid curiosity of what's happening, but not because I want to know how I can help. I just want to know what's going on. Here's the truth. We like to stare, but not to stop. We like to stare at stuff, and there's this morbid drive inside of us when we watch the news and we watch the tragedies. We want to see how incredibly awful the pain and the problem, but we don't want to become involved. And that's where Jesus brings us to the point of this story, was that final response. Not callous, not curious, but compassionate. And that describes the Good Samaritan. In verse 33, it says, but a Samaritan who was traveling that way, he came upon the man, and when he saw him, his heart was filled with pity. You see, what Jesus was highlighting is the things that the Good Samaritan did that moved him and mobilized him to make a difference, and that is what we have to do if we're going to make a difference in the lives of others. So how do I become a person who's genuinely kind? How do I do that? Now, here's the good news. Anyone can do these four things. First, I have to actually see the needs of the people who are around me. I have to stop and look and see. He says this in verse 33, when the Samaritan was traveling on the road, came upon him, he saw the man's condition, and his heart went out towards him. Now, I want you to circle those two words together, saw and heart, because here's the deal. Kindness begins with the eyes before it can touch the heart. You have to be willing to see the pain around you. Here's the issue. If you would say, Pastor Brian, I'd help more people, but I just don't see a lot of need. Here's what I would have to tell you. you're just not looking because there is a tremendous amount of need all around us. So why is it we often don't see the needs of people? Here's the number one answer: because we're too busy. Busyness is destroying our ability to love people the way that God does. And it destroys our ability to be kind. In fact, I would tell you this: hurry is the enemy of kindness. Have you ever noticed when you're in a hurry, you amp up your rudeness factor? You're like, get out of the way! You know, you're callous, you're cold. And when you're in a hurry, you don't want to know what's going on in the life of other people because you're all about the fact that I'm late and I got to get where I'm going. And so the very first thing I think God would say to all of us, starting with this guy right here, is that you're going to have to slow down if you want to see the needs around you. You're going to have to slow down and look around and say, you know what, God, who around me are you purposely placing in my pathway so that I can begin to make a difference in their lives? 1 Corinthians 10:24, Paul said, don't look out just for yourselves, but look out for the good of others also. Would you circle those two words? Look out. So he's saying, literally, intentionally look. God, listen, here's what I would say. Ask God to give you a built-in radar for need. Ask God, say, God, I need to have a heart that is on the lookout, and because unless I'm looking out, I can't live out what God has called me to be, and that is to meet the needs around me. And so if you care, you'll become aware. You'll make an intentional effort to become aroused. So on each of these, I'm going to ask you to rate yourself on what needs the most work. And so on this one, which one of these areas would you say? Would you say when it comes to seeing the needs around me, let me just be truthful. Some people have the naturalistic bent towards personality trait and spiritual giftedness for having a heart of mercy and compassion. That person sees it all the time. And so that may be you, but can I just tell you, that doesn't make you more spiritual. It just means you're more sensitive, but it doesn't mean you're more spiritual. But all of us, listen, all of us can work to become more sensitive. So rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. 1, would say, I need some real work in this area. 5 is, no, actually, I'm seeing more needs than I know how to meet right now. I see it regularly, consistently. And so let me just give you a suggestion. If you're like Brian, if you're like me, and you struggle in this area, do this as a project. I would suggest you sit down and create a concerns inventory list. Here's how you do this. Write 2 columns. In the first column, just write the names of all the people that you regularly come in contact with every single week. So just write their names. These are the people who I regularly come into, and that starts at home, starts with the family, but all the people at work or everywhere. Write all their names, and then in the second column, write down what issue are they the most concerned with right now. Now, if you draw a blank, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go on a sensitivity campaign, because over the next week you're going to be like, well, I didn't really know what Bill was most concerned with. Well, maybe I need to talk with Bill. Maybe I need to become more aware. And so this just heightens your sensitivity, because kindness begins with seeing. Here's number 2. Then we need to sympathize. Sympathize with people in pain. Notice this again in verse 33. When he saw the man, he felt compassion. In other words, his eye bone was connected to the heart bone, and he became moved with compassion. So how do you become more compassionate? Well, though sensitivity begins with your eyes, sympathy begins with your ears. The truth is, we just don't heighten enough the ministry of listening, because nothing can be more powerful than to listen to someone. And most people, listen, most of the people already know you can't even solve their problem. What they want to know is, do you even care about their problem? I'm just telling you, You actually can help people solve their problems when you lift their load. Listen to me. When you listen to another person share about their pain, a cathartic response happens inside of them, and they begin to have some release from the unbelievable burden they felt, and they were caught in a fog thinking, there's nothing I can do. But when you listen to them, compassionately listening, the load gets lighter, they see brighter, and they're able to see solutions they never could before. The truth is, just listening can do that. That's what Paul meant in Galatians 6. He said, share one another's burdens, and in this way, you really are obeying the law of Christ. Now I know for some of you, that's the hardest thing, because you see someone in pain and you're like, Pastor Brian, I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to help someone who's in incredible pain. Maybe they just lost a loved one, a spouse or a child, and you're just like, I don't know what to do. And we tend to back away. And let me tell you 4 things you do when someone is in great pain. You need to show up, shut up, listen up, and then lift up. Show up, that's the ministry of presence. Shut up, that means don't speak. Just listen. And then listen up, that means, hey, I'm just here for you. You don't have to talk, but if you need to talk, I'm just right here. And you just shut up and listen. And then last, you lift up. You just lift them up in prayer, because God absolutely can bring the kind of peace and comfort we never even dreamed about. The truth is, you may not know this, but many of the things that God brought you through, the whole reason you went through that is so that God can use you to help someone else. 2 Corinthians, Paul said, what a wonderful God we have. He is the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the source of all mercy. Every mercy available on planet Earth comes from God. And the one who so wonderfully comforts and strengthens us in our hardships and trials. Why? Why does He do all that? So that when others are troubled, needing our sympathy and encouragement, we can pass on to them the same help and comfort that God has given to us. So rate yourself on this one. How do I do in the department of sympathy? Am I a good listener? Do I need work in this area, or am I doing pretty good? Because I got to see the need. I got to sympathize with their pain. And number 3, I'd have to seize the moment. Seize the moment. Look what it says in verse 34. Then going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine, and then he bandaged his wounds. So he didn't, listen, he did, this is a powerful, powerful principle. He did what he could with whatever he had. Now, many of you, when you see people in need and pain, the first thought is, Pastor Brian, I can't fix that. I can't do anything about that. I'm unable to meet that need. But the truth is, he just looked at the pain, he looked back at his donkey, and he used what he had to do what he could. And so what he had some oil. Wine was used as an antiseptic, so he cleansed the wounds. He had some oil, and oil was used as an analgesic that brought soothing to the pain. And bandages. Now, we don't know where he got these, but he might have even taken the shirt off his back and torn it into shreds and wrapped the wounds. I'll never forget, we were on a mission outreach one time, and a group of us had gone to this area for homeless folks, and we were doing a clothing drive, and we brought all these clothes and everything, and guys were going through the line, and we were loving on them and blessing them and praying for them, and one guy said, what I really need are some shoes. What I really need are some shoes. And we had an ORBC volunteer who said, really? What size are you? And he said, what size? He says, that's me. And he sat down, he took off his shoes, and he handed them to this person. Now, guys, that's doing what you can with what you have. And that's real love, because love really meets the needs right before. It uses what I have to do what I can. Proverbs 3 says, never walk away from someone who deserves help, your hand is God's hand for that person. Don't tell your neighbor, well, maybe some other time, or hit me up tomorrow. I wonder why often we don't step in and meet people's immediate needs and pain. And here's what I would offer to you. Often there's two primary reasons. First of all, people's pain and problems are never, ever convenient. They don't schedule these things. And when you come across them, they're always an interruption. And you have to make a decision in your heart. Am I going to become the kind of person who will allow pain to interrupt my plans? Am I going to become the kind of person who seizes the moment of kindness? Because I'm just telling you, those moments, they come and go. And you can't plan them. You have to be ready before that. But here's the second reason I think we often don't do that. It's because people's pain and their problems are never comfortable. We can talk ourselves out of anything. I know I can. When I see someone in pain and having a problem, I talk myself out of it. I think to myself, what if? Think about this guy. The Samaritan could have been saying things like this. Well, what if the robbers are still close by? Like, man, if I get too close to this thing, I could get beat up. Or what if this is a clever decoy? Like the dude's laying in the road, but really, he's not hurt. They're just waiting to ambush me and rob me. He could have thought, well, what if I lean over and I'm a Samaritan, he's a Jew. Jews hate Samaritans. What if he spits in my face and rejects my help? I mean, what if someone walks by while I'm helping them and they go, oh, you did this, and they think I'm the robber, Or what if, I get in the middle of this and I won't know what to. There are a million reasons why we might not do something, that we can talk ourselves out of it. All of those have one word in common. It's fear. It's fear. If you're going to make a difference in people's lives, you're going to have to overcome your fear and seize the moment with kindness. So rate yourself on this, spontaneous kindness. How do I do there? Do I need some work? Or would I say that, yeah, I'm a very interruptible person and I do respond? You see the need, you sympathize with the pain, you seize the moment, and number 4, you sacrifice, because the truth is it costs to be kind. Verse 34 and 35, he put the man on his own donkey, took him to an inn, and he took care of him. Next day, he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, said, take care of the man, and if his bill runs higher, I'll pay you next time I'm here. In other words, he left his credit card and said, whatever is needed, whatever is needed. That's pretty potent. That's somebody who is next level kindness. That person recognizes that really, truthfully, it always costs to be kind. There's convenient kindness and then there's costly kindness. Guess which one God wants us to be challenged to do? Only one of those will make you like Jesus. Did you hear what I just said? There's convenient kindness and there's costly kindness, but only one will make you like Jesus. It's when it actually costs you. I remember years back we were doing a Peace One Day, and a group went to a local school, and at the local school they did all the projects they were supposed to do, but they noticed that they also had just lost their greenhouse for the school. And the small group got together and said, you know what? We can meet this need. And within that one small group, they raised the money to buy the new greenhouse, and then they came out and installed it themselves. That's what I call next level love. That's people who go, you know what? We can do this. We can do this because it costs to be kind. Proverbs 11:17 says, your own soul is nourished when you're kind. The truth is, the people who are kind at this level are the kindest people because they've just learned that God refreshes the soul. If you need to reignite your faith and friendships, one of the greatest ways is to get out of social media, turn off the news, quit being angry, and meet a real need. That's how God will actually refuel your soul. So rate yourself on this one. And this is what we're going to do as a church. We're going to challenge you in your small group to think of a way that you can actually be mobilized and meet some needs together. Over the next year, we're going to be planning several disaster relief trips, and maybe that would be a phenomenal way for you and your group to get involved in meeting the real needs of people in real pain and real problems. It's huge. But you may also say, well, you know what? How can we keep peace one day, keep it going? Well, we actually have a peace partner list, and we're going to be giving that to you, that shows you some of the ongoing partnerships that you can be involved in continuing the love of kindness to these partners throughout the year. Partners like Maryland Coastal Bays and Diaconia and Delmarva Discovery Center and Chesapeake Housing, Salisbury Zoo, and even our longtime partnership with Halo. There is something that you can do. I want you in this group session to get together and begin rating yourself on these, and then also challenge yourself in the evening by, what will we do? How will we actually practice love in action? I'll see you next time.